When discussing leaders who have held power for decades, the name Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo stands out. He has ruled Equatorial Guinea since 1979, making him one of the longest-serving heads of state in the world. His leadership story is dramatic, involving a military coup, decades of political dominance, massive oil wealth, and constant accusations of corruption and authoritarian rule. Teodoro Obiang was born on June 5, 1942, in the town of Acoacan in what was then Spanish Guinea, the colonial name for Equatorial Guinea under Spain. He came from the Fang ethnic group, the largest ethnic group in the country. During his youth, Obiang received military and administrative training under the Spanish colonial system, which prepared many young elites for leadership roles after independence. After Equatorial Guinea gained independence in 1968, Obiang joined the military and quickly rose through the ranks. Obiang became a trusted military officer under the country's first president, Francisco Macias Nguema, who was also his uncle. Macias Nguema ruled with extreme repression and fear. His regime was widely described as one of the most brutal dictatorships in post-colonial Africa. Thousands of people were imprisoned, tortured, or killed, and a large part of the population fled the country. Obiang served as governor of Bioko Island and later as a senior military officer in the government. The 1979 coup. In August 1979, Obiang led a military coup against his uncle, President Macias Nguema. The coup ended Macias's brutal rule. After being captured, Macias was tried by a military tribunal and executed. Obiang then declared himself president, promising to restore stability and rebuild the country after years of repression and economic collapse. Decades in power. Since 1979, Obiang has remained in power for over 40 years. His political party, the Democratic Party of Equatorial Guinea, PDGE, dominates the country's political system. Over the years, Obiang has won several presidential elections with overwhelming margins, often above 90% of the vote, results that critics say raise serious questions about political competition and electoral fairness. One major turning point in Obiang's rule came in the 1990s when large oil reserves were discovered in Equatorial Guinea. This transformed the country into one of Africa's biggest oil producers per capita and dramatically increased government revenue. However, despite the oil wealth, many citizens still live in poverty, and critics say the country's wealth has been concentrated among political elites. Why his rule is controversial. 1. Allegations of corruption. Obiang and members of his family have faced international investigations over alleged misuse of state funds and luxury property purchases abroad. 2. Authoritarian governance. Human rights organizations frequently accuse the government of restricting political opposition, controlling media, and limiting civil liberties. 3. Lack of political competition. Opposition parties exist but operate under strict conditions, and elections are widely criticized by international observers. Supporters versus critics. Supporters argue that Obiang has brought relative stability and infrastructure development to a country that was once devastated by dictatorship. Critics say the country's oil wealth should have transformed the lives of ordinary citizens much more than it has. The big question. After more than 4 decades in power, the question many Africans and international observers ask is, can a country truly develop democratically when one leader stays in power for generations?